Hello, felting friends. This is Dawn from the Chicken Run Creations, and I thought I would do an unboxing for you. I started teaching some needle felting classes at our local library, and some people were interested in being able to start doing their own felting. And I thought I would share the kit that I started with. It's an inexpensive kit that I got off of Amazon, and I'll put a link below. What I got it because, first off, I had no idea what I was doing a couple years ago when I started, and I didn't know what to get. I looked at some stuff, and someone had mentioned they had gotten this kit off of Amazon, and I was like, for was it $25, something like that. If I didn't really like it, I wouldn't be out a whole lot of money, whereas if I had gotten a big kit that was, 50, 60 bucks, I, didn't like it, I would be out that money and have this wool that I wouldn't know what to do with. So I thought I would share this little kit with you because I've for a starter kit, it's not bad. I definitely have worked up from it since then, but to just start with, it's not a bad way to go, especially if you're not sure if you're going to like it. So bear with me. I am not the best when it comes to video stuff, and I'm just using my phone here, so hopefully I can keep it within the frame. But anyway, it is from China, unfortunately. However, I must say that I am putting together my own starter kit, and as soon as I hear back from my supplier, I will have that available on my website to purchase. And it won't have as much stuff as this has in it, but the quality I think should be a lot better. So, all right, so I haven't even opened this yet, so let me open this. And if I have time, depending on how long this video goes, if I have the time, I might show you something to make. Otherwise, I will do that in another video. All right, I'm going to turn this way. Okay, so comes with this little book. It's, it's from China, so it's not the best. But it does tell you what everything is that's inside it. And in fact, I still have stuff from my first kit that I haven't even used yet. Kind of gives you an idea of things that you can do, but I'll go through everything here. So first, these are some stencils, and the first thing that I made, I don't have it handy here to show you, but I just took one of these stenciled and stuck it on my foam and started poking away the wool inside it. I think I actually did this little chick here. And it was a way to get used to the feel. Now what I do is I use them. So, well, let me grab. So I have this bunny here. This is going to be our next project at the library. But if I wanted to put something on him, so like if I wanted to put this little butterfly on here, I just take some pins and put it on here and then put the wool inside it and stab. But we'll get to that. So, but there's a lot of these cool little stencils. I mean, there's some stars and some hearts, some little animals. There's even letters, some basic shapes. Whoops. Letters and basic shapes. Some trees, some apples. So there's a lot of little doodads here. I could put a little bow on the bunny. Okay, so those are the stencils that come with it. Those out of the way. You get a styrofoam board to felt on. This isn't the greatest, but it works. I've actually made my own wool needle felting pad. You could use a chair pad. For my class, I bought a chair pad from Joann's and cut it up and used that. But like I said, it's a starter kit. So they give you all these little wools. So lots of different colors. There's not a lot here to make anything really big with, but it's a way to start anyway. So let me move this out of the way and then I'll show you what comes in the kit to start with. So you get this really nice plastic box, which is very handy. And we'll open it up. Okay, so here, these are some little plastic eyes. So you just kind of, there's an awl in here too. I'll show you. Put a hole in your project and you can stick the eyes in with a little bit of glue to hold them in place. They give you a glue stick. I haven't really needed a glue stick, but they give you a glue stick. This is a needle holder, so you can see it's got a needle already here. And I'll go into the needles, but you stick it in like that, and then you can use that to stab. I don't use it. I prefer just to hold the needle itself, but it's included in the kit, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to stick that back in there so I don't jab myself. All right, you get, these are finger guards. And I actually like these better than the ones that I got for my class, but these go on your finger and your thumb. So when you are stabbing your project, you don't stab your finger or thumb. And these are leather. I think occasionally I've had one go through, but not usually. They're pretty good. So finger guards, definitely need those. Okay, let me open this up and show you what's in here. We have more eyes. Actually, I guess those are probably more of a nose, maybe. Kind of a triangle shape. And then there are, if you want to make like a little key ring or, I don't know, a little ornament, you can put those on there. If you can see that, I'll get this right way. A little clasp there, so you could hook, and there's other little things that you can use to hook. I think that's all that's in here. So let me put these back. Like I said, some of the stuff I haven't even really used. So, alright, that out of the way. You get a decent pair of needle nose pliers. Well, these ones maybe not. Yeah, they're not too bad. I use these quite a bit. So you get a pair of scissors, which aren't the greatest, but they do work. I had one. I had two kits, and one of them stopped working at my class last time, but they're pretty sharp, so they work pretty good. Let's see here. Alright, so now, if you can see in here, there's some jump rings in here. And I need to get the book out here because I don't remember what this gold ring is here. Oh, it's a thimble. So you can see that. I guess you put your jump ring in there to hold it so you can open and close it. Yeah, I didn't even know that. So it shows you how much I've used it. So, and these are dust plugs. Let's see, easy to remove and insert against dust or water. Not really sure. What I have done is these little thingies have a hole in them, if you can see that. And I actually stuck them in some and made ornaments and ran string through there. So I don't know. I don't quite understand what it means to be a dust plug, but anyway, you get those little doohickeys. Let's see here. If you're into jewelry making, you probably know what these needle thingies are. Let me check the book. Maybe it'll tell me. Brass pinheads. Oh, okay. So yeah, I've done this too. I think you can see these things got. I've stuck them into my projects to hang for ornaments and stuff like that. So those little strings are phone lanyards, I guess. There's some little jingle bells in here. I think that's all that's in this one here. All right, and then we have some more eyes. These are smaller eyes. I think, yeah. I had 2 different size eyes. I used a lot of the eyes that I had. All right, we got some more glue sticks. And we got more eyes. So I think there's 3 size eyes. We have an awl. So what you do with the awl is if you want to use one of the plastic eyes, you would use the awl to kind of make a hole. It's got a plastic guard on it, but you'd make a hole in your project and then you can stick your eye in there and glue it in. So that's what the awl is for. You get a pair of tweezers. It's come in handy when you're picking up little eyes. And then you have a multi-needle tool. Now, I don't use this very much. I find it, I'll show you what I do use instead. This one will hold quite a few needles. So if you're doing a pretty big project, got all those needles. If you're doing a pretty big project and you're just starting, is there what, 8 I think? This is good for covering a pretty big area. It works okay. You have to kind of play around with the needles. It comes with pretty big needles in here. And like I said, I'm not a huge fan of this particular tool, but some people like it and it works. I just got this one, and I'll include a link to that. This is nice because it locks and unlocks. So let's see, unlock is this way, so you turn this way. And then when you push it down, this little guard here, so you see how that works? And then you can lock it back up and then it doesn't move. So this is really nice when you're doing a lot of a big area. So I'll give you a link to that. And then you get this whole big thing here of needles. Now, let me see if I can... There's 3 different sizes, and I don't think it tells me... Does it tell me what size they are? I don't think so. It might in the listing. But anyway, yeah, they don't have what size they actually are. But you can tell basically by how long they are, so how well you can see that. So there's some really big ones. There's a middle size. I think that's a middle size one there. Or is that the same as the big one? That's the same as the big one. But there should be 3 different sizes here. Yeah. And yeah, there we go. Okay, so your smaller needle is a more fine work. So this one here is more for your finishing. The bigger one would be when you're just starting, and then of course the middle one would be in between there. I don't really care for the big one. I found I just don't like the way it works in the wool very well, so I tend to use the middle one and then the small one more. They're decent needles. They're not bad. I definitely have, upgraded my needles to some better ones. I like to get some from, let's see here, Living Felt. They have some decent ones, and they tell you what they're for. I like the purple. I use that one a lot. I use the green one a lot. But so yeah, so that's what they look like when you get them from them. So yeah, so that's the basic kit. I've actually been using these needles in my classes. I just purchased some more needles because I didn't have enough, and now that I have these, I have plenty of needles. So it I mean, they work. I used these for quite a while before I went out and got some new ones. And so you have all of these in the kit, in the little container, plus you have all the needles that are in here, plus the needle in the single one. So you get a lot of needles. So, and they've worked. I still will pick up some of those and use them. So they work really well. So that is what comes in the kit. I also bought This is called Core Wool. I use this on the inside of my projects. Now, if you're doing a small project, the first one I do, I won't use this. But as in with my rabbit, I use the core wool first. So you're not using as much color because the core wool's cheaper than the top colors. So it's good to get some of the core wool, and then you make your basic shape first, and then you cover it with the other wool. Oops. Which, let me show you this wool. Now, this is real wool. Someone asked if it was synthetic, but nope, it is real wool. So you get with the kit, you get lots of different colors. And each kit I found, the colors are slightly different. I had a friend who ordered a kit and then decided she didn't want it, so she gave me her kit. And I was quite surprised at how different the colors were. Of course, it could have been a different kit, but so they're, I mean, you get a lot of different colors, but you don't have a lot of each color. Now, this, I'll tell you, this is 1 pound. Okay. Most of your colors, usually buy by the ounce. Okay. So like this is 1 ounce. So you can really see the difference between this and 1 ounce. And usually when I buy 1 ounce. My kit that I'm putting together myself will have 1/2 ounce colors, but you can always go in and order more from the person who I have who's going to be putting them together for me. But you know, if you just, like I said, if you're just starting out and you just want to play around with it and see whether it's something that you'll like, I see no problem with this kit to get you started with. So, all right, so now I'm going to clean up my mess here, and I'm going to come back and I'll show you a really simple little thing that you can make to get you started with the basic kit here. So let me clean up and I will get back to you. Okay, we're back. So I'm going to use just the supplies that came with the kit, with the exception of a little cookie cutter. I'm sure most everybody has a cookie cutter. And I find the cookie cutters work better than using the stencils, which is what I use first. So grab yourself a cookie cutter. It doesn't have to be very big. To start with, probably smaller would be better. We're just going to use the wool that came in the kit. And I'm going to use the finger guards and the needles that came in the kit. You could use this if you wanted to, but I'm just going to use them as it is. Now, hopefully I don't move this out of the picture because it's halfway on my desk, so I have to reach a little bit because that's as far as my phone will reach. I need to find a better holder for my phone. So anyway, I'm going to open up the wool, and once you get it out of the bag, it's not too bad of an amount, as you can see here. This is a top coat. I'm not sure what kind it is. It's probably a merino wool, but it felts pretty well. So what I'm going to do is, now when you are working with wool, it takes a little hang to get used to pulling it apart. You don't want to cut it, you want to pull it. And so what I do is I hold it in my left hand. I mean, if you're left-handed, you do this opposite. And then just very gently tease the fibers out. So I'm just going to pull some pieces out here. So I'm just very gently holding this in place and then pulling it out with my other hand. And we'll just pull some out here. Okay, now the needles. And I'm not sure if I can get it close enough that you can see. The needles have little barbs on them, and they're different shapes. This one, I don't think it's a triangle, but it could be. No, I don't think it is. But there's little barbs on there, and they're really, really sharp, which is why you want to use the finger guards. For this project, you can probably get away without using them, but if you're doing a 3D object, then you definitely want to wear them. I put my needles in here, so this is my largest one, this is the middle one, and this is the smallest one, and I'll kind of play with them and see which one feels better as I'm working with it. What the needles do is when you poke it into the wool, it gathers it up and it felted basically is what you're doing, is you're turning it into felt. If you ever bought a piece of felt, that's basically what you're doing, is you are weaving the fibers together to make them hold together, basically is what you're doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start to fill my heart here. And I want to use kind of smallish pieces to stuff it in there. And you want to do more than you think you're going to need. Because I'll fill this up and I'll be like, oh, that looks pretty good. And then once I get felting, it's not very much. So I'm just trying to get it up into the top part of the heart here. Get some more. Stuff it in there. And you can keep adding to it and once you start felting it, if you find that it's not enough, you can always add more. So one thing you do want to be careful of is to not jab too hard, because you can break them. I've broken needles inside of projects before, and it's kind of hard to get them out. This you could get it out because it won't be very thick. So, but another thing, when you're stabbing this, it's going to be very easy to go all the way through and into this. You don't really want to go into this very much. You will, but you're jabbing lightly. You want to stay into the wool. When you first start, you definitely will be stabbing into the styrofoam, but try and keep it within the wool. If it's sounding like this, you're stabbing too hard, okay? If it sounds like this, then you're probably doing okay. So I'm going to start with the bigger one just because it's here and see how it works. But like I said, I'm not a real fan of the bigger one. So you can see I'm just kind of going around and stabbing it. And you can hear that I'm touching the styrofoam, but I'm not really going into it. I'm just kind of stabbing. Oh, it's not working too bad. You can see how it's starting to kind of condense together. It's a lot of stabbing. It's not a bad project to do while you're, you know, sitting and listening to the TV. You kind of have to keep an eye on what you're doing so you don't stab your fingers. But so just going around and just stabbing away. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over and repeat. So if you can see, I don't know what you can see because I can't see it, but it is starting to mat down. Now as you're going around the edges, you want to be careful that you don't stab into your cookie cutter. And you want to do it kind of gently. Don't go, you know, really hard, because that's when you will break your needle, especially if you hit the side of your cookie cutter. Go right along the edges of your cookie cutter. Kind of push it down. Now I'm not sure how well you can see that, but I can see holes where I've stabbed. That's okay. The more you stab, those holes will disappear, and when you use the finer needles, they'll disappear more. All right, so now I'm just going to take a look at it and see if it's thick enough. So that's not too bad. It's going to get thinner than that. But that's not too bad. Maybe I'll add just a little bit more. So I'm going to stick it back in here. And let's add just a little bit more wool, depending on how thick you want it to be. Just kind of stuff it down and stab some more. So I'm going to do this in real time. I'm not going to speed it up when I go to edit this. Make sure you get all around the edge, outside edge. This bigger needle's working a lot better than I thought it would. let's flip it over again. And this time I'm going to go down to the next size needle. It doesn't really matter what size needle you use, it's all pretty much preference. If you start with one needle and you find that it's just not felting good enough for you, then go down to the next size. Now most of them, because I don't know what the numbers are of these ones, but when you buy them from a supplier, the larger the number, the smaller the needle. I think that's the same with, you know, like your crochet needles and stuff like that. So the bigger your number, so they come like 32, 33, 34 or something like that. Maybe they're even numbers, 32, 34, 36. So your 32 needle is going to be a bigger needle than your 40 needle. So, and it's coming down pretty good. This wool works pretty well. Okay, so now I'm just gonna kind of focus on the outside edge. Get that well. So you can hear, see, I'm not going like this, which is stabbing it into your felt, into your base. You don't want to do that. And if you can see what happens when you do that, you get these little fluffy things. It's not a big deal because you can felt it back down. But if you can see that, these little pieces that come out when you're stabbing too hard into your mat. So just do it lightly. There are some times where you do need to do that if you're doing a flat piece, but this isn't that flat, so we don't need to do that. All right, so I'm just gonna stab down those pieces that came up. All right, now I'm gonna take it out. Okay, so you can see the edges aren't really felted very well. Well, we're gonna do something about that. This is why you need to put your little finger guards on. So get mine on, and I'm going to go to the smallest needle now. All right, so what we're going to do is we need to kind of to clean up these edges here and do some more. We'll do some more on the outside, but what you want to do is you can hold it between your fingers like this. Another option, let me see if I got, another option is you can use 2 pieces of cardboard. Especially if you don't have the finger guards, you can use 2 pieces of cardboard, but I still would use your finger guards with this because you can still stab yourself. To me it's awkward to do that, so I just prefer to use the finger guards. So put them on, I'm going to hold it in between, and then all I'm going to do is gently stab all along the edge of this. And that will start to clean up the outside. So when you're doing the middle here, I'm going to stab it pretty good here in the middle because I really want to define this part of the heart. And then I'm stabbing it, see, I'm kind of stabbing it from the side because I don't want to flatten this part out. I still want it to be rounded. So I'm going more at a 45-degree angle here instead of straight on, so I don't lose that roundedness of the heart. And I'm just going to go all the way around. Now see, I am stabbing my fingers, but because I have the guards on, I'm not feeling it. See how it's, so you can see the difference between what I felted and what I haven't. Now when you get down to the point, you want to be careful because you don't want to flatten that. So again, I'm going very carefully where the point is. I'm kind of going around the side here. Then I'm going to turn it and just very carefully do the point of it. Now at this point, I find it's easier to flip it over and start going up this side. So if you can see the difference here between the side that's felted and the side that's not. Hopefully I'm still in frame here. All right, so I'm going to do the same on the other side. Being careful not to lose the roundness of the heart. You also don't want to stab too hard around your outside edge because it will misshape your object. So go very gently around it. I should put my other glasses on so I can see what I'm doing better. All right, we're getting down to the point here. So once again, careful so you don't lose your point. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of go over the top. You'll get a smoother finish if you go at a 45-degree angle. Probably not quite at a 45-degree angle. And you can kind of see it flatten out. I like to kind of go, instead of just stabbing it wherever, I kind of see how I'm kind of going across. Finger guards make it hard to do this, but unless you like poking your fingers. Okay, I'm just going to kind of reshape the middle here to make sure it's well defined. Flip it over. Let's do the other side. Okay, so now I can keep going with that, but that's not too bad. I'm going to kind of touch up the edges here a little bit. And just by looking at it, you can see what areas need to be felted more. And there's no right or wrong as far as when it's done. It's pretty much done when you feel it's done. If you want it really good and firm, just keep going over it. If you like it a little looser, you can stop whenever you feel like it's done. So I think if you see other people's works, some of them are really, really tight, and others are really quite loose. So it's pretty much up to you. I made a bunch of these little hearts for my niece. All right, so I'm just going to kind of look at it, make sure that it looks pretty uniform. And I could work that some more, but that's not too bad. Another thing you can do to kind of get rid of the holes is to kind of rub it with your fingers. And the finer needles you have will leave less holes. So this could definitely be worked some more, but just to show you, I see there's like this little section here that I don't really like how that looks, so I'm just gonna fill that a little bit. You could take a bunch of these and string them together and make a chain. Okay. And I would probably go back through with a finer needle and clean this up a little bit, but you could put one of those little things on there and make an ornament. I wanted to show you, let me get another color of, so you can see I made this little heart and I still have all this wool left, so it's not too bad. Let me get another color out here because I wanted to show you the stencil. Pinky color. So get this out. So if I want to put a little stencil, a little heart on top of my heart, just get a little of this out just to show you how to use the stencils. Let's see here. What size do I want to go with? Move these out of the way. Still see it? Let's go with this one. So I need to try and line it up. And what I like to do is I just take some pins and tack it down so it doesn't move on me. Okay, so that's in there pretty good. So now let me take my pink and I'm going to use just a little bit at a time here and just kind of fill that in. Get my small needle. I'm just going to kind of tack it down in here. And just kind of, you're going to kind of grab the stuff that's overhanging and just stick it down. I don't want it to be too big. So we'll just work with little bits at a time here. You want to make sure you get especially right into the along the edges and the corners and stuff. So really pack it into the edges. You will stab into the foam, the stencil, but that's all right, it'll pull out. So can't see. Make sure I have a lot along the outside edges here. And then just stab it. I could use a little bit more on this side. I'm going to try and stab it really good while it's still in here so it doesn't lose its shape. Okay. Now let me take my pins out. And very gently, because it might stick to it, pull that off. And there we have a little heart. Now, kind of over here is a little cattywampus. So I'm just going to kind of try and clean that up. Not perfect, but I'm just going to kind of stab all around it, get it in there really well. If it's a little off center or a little out of shape in one area, you can just take it at an angle and move it around. Am I still in frame here? It's not exactly lined up, but you can see that. So yeah, so really simple to do. The very basic project. Like I said, you could make it into an ornament. You could use some thread and make a bunch of them and make a little bunting, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. But so yeah, so it's fun to do. It's very relaxing. I'm going to get into some more projects here, hopefully. I don't like editing, so that's my big hang up with doing videos, is the editing part. But you may just get what it is with all the oopses and what have you. Anyway, down below I will link to this kit that I got off of Amazon. The core wool I also got off of Amazon, but I have also ordered from the exact same people on Etsy. I will link to the multi-tool, and this is another one that I have too. This one holds 3 needles. I have 2 needles in at the moment. I use this a lot. This is really good to get things done quicker, but you still have more precision than if you're using the big one. Let's see, it will get things done a lot quicker, but I like for initial students to use the single one, just so you get the feel of it. This is really too small. Let me turn it over here. So this is how this one works. Piece of leather. But I could do this and stab it a lot more. And you can change the size of the needles that you have in here. So if you want a finer needle, you can put a finer needle in. If you want a bigger needle, if you're just starting out. So it just makes it work a little bit faster. And I'm just very gently stabbing on this. Don't get your finger under there, because, you know, 1 needle will hurt. 5 will really hurt. But so yeah, so this is a really nifty tool, and I will link these down below as well for you. So yeah, so basic starter kit. If you want to give needle felting a try, but don't want to put the expense of a more expensive kit in, I highly recommend this one just for starter. And then if you find that you really like it, you can order better kits from some of the companies. I will be putting together kits for different projects that we're going to do that you'll be able to order through me. If you want additional colors, I will also, once I have my kits done up, I will show where you can order them from my supplier as well, for like additional colors that you might want and stuff. But basically that's a real basic needle felting project that anybody can do. Just, you know, have band-aids handy, because you will probably need them the first few times you work on a project. But so yeah, so I'll end that here, and when I get my kit in, hopefully maybe by the end of the week. We'll see if she's got them done. I will do an unboxing for that, and we will make something with that kit. And drop a comment down below and let me know what you'd like to make. Like I said, we're going to be doing these rabbits, these bunny rabbits for Easter at the library, and I won't do a video for these until after I've done the class at the library. Then I will put up a video for these. We made gnomes, our first one, which I might do a gnome video if you want to see how to do a little gnome. I don't have one right here in front of me, but and we'll get into more complex things. I do have a Facebook group that I started, which I will also link below if you would like to join it. There's no cost to join it. Some of my tutorials there might be a fee for. I will do free ones as well. But yeah, bear with me because this video thing is totally new to me, and I mean I've done some other videos, but most of the time it's not crafting type videos, so bear with me while I work on my setup and figure out the best way to do it. But until then, happy felting, and I will see you on the next video. Have a great day, friends.